Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. An attorney is making the case that the SEC must be stopped and that their actions could prove fatal for a crypto adoption in the United States if something doesn't change and quickly. Here's a headline from Inside Sources. Stone Age bureaucracy is bungling America's cryptocurrency future. And I actually came across this thanks to attorney John Deaton, a member of the XRP community. He is the attorney that is seeking to intervene in the SEC versus Ripple case. And he shared a quote. I'm going to run through the article, but he shared a quote from it that I just want to share right here in the intro because I think it's powerful. And it reads as follows. According to the SEC's filings, Ripple should have known they were selling an unregistered security for the last 8 years, even though the SEC didn't adopt that theory until December 2020. Folks, logic is hard, apparently. Logic and reason, very difficult. Highly problematic for the SEC. Now, look, I want to be clear at the outset. I do not have a legal or financial background of any kind. I am not offering legal or financial advice. And you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who likes making YouTube videos about Ripple and XRP and crypto, but just as a fun hobby. That's all that's going on here, damn it. If you don't like it, well, you can just get out. So into this piece now. And this is written by attorney Gerard Skimeka. Not sure if I'm saying that last name right, but I might be. And it reads as follows. Imagine trying to make a purchase online from a familiar website, only to be thwarted by a new policy announcing it only accepts Japanese yen or Chinese yuan. Or consider a vending machine that repeatedly spits back your crisp, clean dollar as unrecognizable. And what may be your reaction if you check your bank statement only to see your balance represented in euros? As odd and far-fetched as these dystopian scenarios may seem, they illustrate the dangerous path our nation is following in its befuddling and Stone Age approach to regulating innovative digital assets like cryptocurrency. Since 2019 alone, transactions in cryptocurrency have risen by 300%. And the pace is accelerating because of its speed and convenience in bridging currency conversions in a global economy. Innovation brings volatility and speculation in any asset class, but the underpinning technology is proving its long-term staying power. Yes, exactly. And so you will hear from some people, and I think it's very disingenuous from some, and from others, perhaps they just don't know what the hell they're talking about. But the idea of volatility being a bad thing, volatility is the purpose of investing. Without having volatility, why are you putting money anywhere? Of course there's going to be volatility. And there's people betting against one another. You know, of course there is. It's part of healthy markets, whether you're talking about investing in precious metals or real estate or the stock market, pick it. And it's certainly true in crypto, but this is something that people really like to harp on because in crypto there happens to be a much more notable and extreme level of volatility. But why is that happening? Why is there this extreme level of volatility? Well, a couple of primary reasons as far as I'm concerned include the fact that there's a crazy frenzy around the asset class and also that markets are illiquid, which is to say there's not much money in them. So to manipulate is easy. There are whales that do manipulate, but even outside of the manipulation, it doesn't take much money coming in or out to get drastic price swings, and that's just the nature of it. But you can look, like you saw this type of, very similar anyway, the type of volatility a couple decades ago with the advent of the internet in the United States. If you looked at the stock market, when there was the internet tech bubble, whatever you want to call it, the internet bubble, I don't care. You tell me what you want to call it. It got up to what worth, this is just in the United States here, mind you, like what, $6 trillion, I believe. I'm pulling from memory, but I think it was about $6 trillion. And that's just, again, one country. With crypto, it's global. And then on top of that, my gosh, things happen more quickly too because you're talking about trading 24/7, 365. Every second of every day of every year, there's trading. Well, that's not the case with the stock market. It's during business hours, Monday through Friday, right? And so it's not surprising that you're seeing a different pace And it's just an extreme frenzy around this. But we know humans behave like this. The fact that humans are behaving like this here is not unique. We saw it with the dot-com boom and bust. It doesn't mean there wasn't something to the internet, and it doesn't mean there's not something here. Really grinds my gears, folks. Grinds my gears. So the piece continues, while other nations are promoting and welcoming the benefits of blockchain, the U.S. is doing just the opposite, handcuffing investors and businesses alike through a myriad of confusing, complex, and wholly inconsistent enforcement stockades while giving no regulatory clarity. If not addressed, it could spell disaster for America's ability to compete and transact in the currencies of tomorrow. Especially concerning is the consistent interference from the Securities and Exchange Commission in its seemingly random affinity for treating some crypto as securities, making them subject to suffocating securities regulations and oversight. This bungling is perfectly illustrated in a current lawsuit, SEC versus Ripple Labs, which has potentially far-reaching implications related to the power of government regulatory authorities. But at its core, it serves as a reminder that the United States continues to be outpaced by other developed economies in establishing a safe and secure regulatory framework for digital assets. And so the case revolves around the sale of XRP tokens, a digital currency that has been distributed by Ripple since 2013. Despite repeatedly declining every opportunity to definitively state that XRP is a security for years, allowing billions of these tokens to be traded on crypto exchanges worldwide, the SEC suddenly came to the conclusion that XRP is a security and that Ripple and its executives should be forced to fork over $1.3 billion in fines. And why? Well, according to the SEC's filings, Ripple should have known they were selling an unregistered security for the last 8 years, even though the SEC didn't adopt that theory until December 2020. And so also, can I just pause to state that, to me, this is just so matter of fact. We all know an absurd amount of time passed from when Ripple began selling their holdings of XRP until the initial. Finally, we had the SEC actually file against Ripple, claiming that they'd been engaging in the sale of unregistered securities here. And by the SEC's inaction, if they're right in what Ripple, and they're not, but if they actually were right and what Ripple's been doing is wrong and it's harming investors like me and you, this is the market and all. Why? How reckless is it for the SEC to have allowed Ripple to do these nefarious illegal deeds for so many years, for so long, harming so many people? Why did they let more and more people get harmed and let XRP get to the point where it's globally adopted in a very meaningful way if it's so terrible and bad? How inept are you, SEC? Except for you don't really even believe what you're saying. It looks to me like a power and or money grab because frankly, this is so illogical, and I don't think you're stupid. So what's the reason then? And I sit here and speculate, and I've done some over the recent last half a year on this topic. But I don't believe that you believe what you're saying. I really don't believe that, SEC. And so the piece continues. If the logic behind the SEC's lawsuit sounds circuitous, it's because it is. While the SEC could not determine whether this cryptocurrency was a security, other nations that are further along in establishing a secure regulatory framework for digital currency were not afflicted by similar indecisiveness. While the SEC dawdled, Japan, Singapore, Switzerland, the United Arab Emirates, and the United Kingdom had no problem concluding the obvious. XRP is a digital currency, not a security. Of course, those nations have a distinct advantage over the United States. All of them saw the need for establishing regulatory frameworks for digital currencies and preparing for an emerging economic asset. Why, then, is the SEC pursuing Ripple Labs? Under the SEC's logic, XRP has no utility as a currency, but is merely an investment contract in Ripple. Defying that assertion are the users of XRP tokens around the world. The SEC's filing of its complaint against Ripple seeking $1.3 billion in fines resulted in panic selling of XRP tokens, crashing their value, and suspension of trading by exchanges fearing SEC reprisal. Those holders of XRP tokens have no relationship with Ripple. Indeed, some had never even heard of the company. If the SEC's case against Ripple didn't have such serious potential implications for the unchecked power of overreaching government regulators, the future of digital currency, and the constitutional guarantees of due process, this fiasco might be dismissed as theater of the absurd. The reality is, the implications are dire and serious. They assault basic constructs of fairness and undermine the regulatory consistency needed to incentivize investment and facilitate economic growth. SEC vs. Ripple Labs isn't just another example of regulatory overreach. At its core, it reveals that while the rest of the world and American consumers are embracing digital currency, the SEC's failings elevate bureaucratic process over economic progress, which, if unchecked, could prove fatal to America staking its claim as a leader or major player in the currency of the future. And by the way, I do like the idea of XRP as the currency of the future. It's got a nice ring to it. Now, there's not going to be a one-size-fits-all. There's not going to be one coin to rule them all. I'm just saying I don't mind hearing it. that's because I'm biased and XRP is my largest holding. I've been very transparent about that, though. But anyway, continues now. We now know the reason for years of dithering and indecisiveness at the SEC regarding cryptocurrency. They just don't get it. And as long as they don't understand it, they'll remain incapable of establishing a safe and secure regulatory framework for digital currency. We should all hope the courts rein in the SEC's convoluted assertions and vindicate an American innovator like Ripple, who was an unfair target of a regulator's zeal to overstep its authority. Congress should also quickly catch up with the competing countries and adopt a sound framework that limits regulatory abuse we've seen in the Ripple case. Such outcomes would be an enormous step forward on the path for America to lead in tomorrow's global economy. I'll tell you what, Gerard Skimeka, if I'm saying your name right, there's the golf clap. You did well. That's the golf clap. You did it. That was a fantastic piece, was it not? And this is one of the things I've said for a long time, and I promise I'm not just saying, if there's negative stuff, I just want to live in reality, whatever the reality is. That's where I want to live. It is very difficult for me to find attorneys that think that the SEC is in the right and Ripple's in the wrong, just in a general sense. I'm not talking about down to every single fact of every instance being argued in the case. But by and large, just on the whole, it is very difficult to find an attorney that thinks that the SEC should be doing what it's doing. It's very difficult. I've highlighted the couple that I've found, and I think it is just a couple. That's it. Because outside of the SEC, what attorneys think that? It's not logical. There isn't sufficient precedent for this. It's just craziness. And so I have confidence, based on what I'm seeing, that justice will be done here. You don't know for sure, but I'm optimistic, let's say. I am not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.